All right, Mac. Well, what do you want to talk about?
All right. Well, we're gonna figure that out.
All
It's for
right.
the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I'm not really sure which we should talk about, actually. What do
Hmm.
you?
We cover so much, and then there's so much that happens every week with different client stuff. And well, I mean, there was some really good stuff on last week's membership call, right?
Um,
Like, go ahead.
no, I'm just trying to think like what happened on the membership call last week. Like I remember it being really good.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's so much stuff going on that's hard to remember all of it sometimes. But
Oh, we talked about on the call, we talked about polarity.
yeah, and how like one thing is like how asked like a man asking a woman what she wants to do is just a bad idea. You can ask for opinions, but it's way easier if the man just decides
Oh,
and
yeah.
says what we're going to do unless you speak otherwise, type of thing.
Hmm.
um, might come off as aggressive to some people, as like, oh, you're telling her what to do. It's like, no, no, that's not how it works. It's the simplicity of making it to where you don't have to think about
Yes.
it, right?
Which
It's like,
is very nice. It's
but
a whole shift when a woman goes from letting go or wanting to be in total control versus letting go of all control,
yeah,
including like wanting to make decisions.
yeah. And so instead of a guy coming and saying, well, I don't know what to do. Do you want to do this or you want to do this? And then it's kind of like putting the decision in the lap of the female, the woman, the wife, the girlfriend, whatever. And then she's like, well, if I have to decide, then she's got to totally switch into a masculine, and it's really unfulfilling.
Hmm.
Versus the man's same thing, probably going to happen. Like it's probably going to be the same outcome, but the guy shows up and says, "Hey, I want to do this. Do you want to do it too?" She's like, "Well, I don't know. Well, I don't know doesn't mean no. Like, do you want to do it? Like, let's go do it." And even if she's a little bit iffy, then for the guy to just stay certain and just be like, "Okay, let's go."
Hmm.
Unless it's like a hard no, right? If she's like, "No, I do not want to do that." And sometimes you can still push her a little bit. It's like, "Oh, come on, you'll enjoy it. Let's just go." And then afterwards, she's kind of like, "All right, I'm glad you made me." But there are some hard stops that you got to watch for. But a lot of times, if a guy just does what he wants to do and makes it really easy for her to just be there and come along and stops thinking that he needs to get her approval, that's where things really shift, where she respects him more versus questions him, right?
Hmm.
Like that's kind of where we were. And so I was kind of going after some guys and then telling the girls like, hey, you got to let go. You got to stop trying to control it. Stop telling him what he needs to do and just be like, no, I'm going to make life real easy. I'm just going to let him do it. And I'm going to be like, yeah, that was fun.
It's really nice in the
Hmm.
group when there's like men and women in there because then the men can truly like they can hear from multiple women like what we actually want, and then they can take that information back into their relationship with their wives. And the same with us women, like we get to hear kind of the man how the man's perspective and how he's feeling in certain situations. And then I feel like for me at least, when I hear the men in our group speak, I have more grace and like more grace for you. Is
Because
that
you the challenges that they go through.
because I hear the challenges they're going through, and like I don't assume, but I assume sometimes some of the same type of challenges run through your mind, like one of the the clients, your clients, your one-on-one clients said he's feeling unappreciated by his wife, right? And
Hmm.
it kind of just makes me aware to the fact that like I want to do my best to make sure that I'm showing you appreciation.
Yeah, because guys won't say that. Guys won't usually won't tell their wives that.
Not in those words. Like
Yeah,
and in a way, not in a way that's like I like this is how I'm feeling like and I like my soul, it's not it, but it's more usually I think when got like in the past when a man would tell me you don't appreciate me, it felt like it was coming from a very like judgmental place, which is why then I like battled it, where it was like, no, I do appreciate you. No, 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 no. And then we went back and forth where it's like, the way that it was, you know, I've heard it expressed by men in the group when they're saying it, it's not coming from like a a judgmental negative place. It's coming from a place of like their soul. It's like
Just
love.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just how they feel. And so when I can see it in them, I can see it more like in you. Like I can seeing them open up lets me see you better, if that makes sense. So I
Mm.
super appreciate that.
Yeah,
I don't know if
it's
it made sense.
hmm. Well, it's always one of those things that's really really hard to communicate because usually it comes up when they're both people are a little bit triggered, and there's this one word that when you use this one word, it really starts to cause the clash, and it's you. I
Mm,
feel like you don't appreciate me, right? Because that's what it feels. So if I was feeling those feelings and I was like, yeah, I don't feel like you're appreciating me, um, to you, when I say that, it feels like I point the finger at you and go, I feel like you're not appreciating, and then you're like, would stop attacking me, you know. Whereas it might actually be a better way to express feelings by talking almost third person or almost like you're talking to someone else and being like, I'm just in a place right now where I don't feel like my wife is appreciating me. I don't really feel appreciated by my wife. And I'm just trying to do everything I can and like kind of like look away and shift. And then like maybe it's like, I'm going to express my feelings, but I'm going to do it to like over here in a way that isn't saying you know? So, right now I just feel like I'm doing everything I can. And I just feel like my wife isn't really appreciating like the effort that I'm putting in. I know it's never going to be like, I don't think life is ever going to be perfect, but it's pretty good, you know. So just to redirect to not do that, I don't feel like you are appreciating me because like I don't care if it's a man or a woman. A lot of times, if there's some emotion tied up in it, you can see it and feel it. When somebody says, "I don't feel like you're doing this," it's like it's a personal attack, or at least it gets generalized typically that way.
yes, it is a personal attack.
When
Yeah.
in reality, it's just like, here's my feelings, right?
Hmm. Hmm. And then my question, like if you were feeling unappreciated, that would make me feel really sad. But I'd be like, my question to myself I would just want to know, like, how can I be better? What can I do?
Um, hmm, well, I can't really tell you that because I don't really feel unappreciated by you. So you do a pretty good job of appreciating, like doing that. So I don't really have the answer, like or examples or different things like that. I mean, I think the fundamental basis is that we're honest with each other. We talk about our emotions. That typically when I ask what's going on or you ask what's going on, we find a way to communicate it,
Hmm.
even if we don't always have the words or want to talk about it.
Hmm.
We still find a way to kind of like calm down the emotional intensity, right? Bring it down, start talking, figure out what's going on, why is this, why is that, how it needs to lay out. And when we expose it and then bring in the proper feminine and masculine energy to bring it back together to look at it and be like, okay, no, this is going too masculine on your part, or this is not holding the masculine on my part, or like whatever it is. And sometimes I got to tone it down, right? Like if you're getting disrupted, even though I do a pretty good job of meeting your needs, sometimes my masculine comes over a little too much, too aggressive. And so one of your needs then becomes bring it down, right? Like bring the aggression out, pull it out, get it, like you can still express and talk and communicate, but make sure it's not in a way that puts pressure on you as you trying to be like, well, if you're not happy now, I feel like I'm not doing my job, you know, which isn't true. It's just like it's just what sometimes it appears like.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's going to make sense to anybody that just heard that, but let me let let me put that in a little better perspective. Sometimes when I work, I get really aggressive, and if things aren't working out my way, one of the ways that I release energy around it is I bitch about it. Now, I don't give two shits about a bitch. Like I'm just I can go off, I can cuss out an engineer that designed this piece of crap, or somebody didn't do their job, and to me, it's not really like I'm not necessarily looking to really complain about one in particular person. I'm frustrated and I'm trying to release some energy. So if I do that indirectly, and Jen, my wife, hears this too much over and over and over again, what it begins to look like is that I'm just like my life is just miserable. That's what she begins to perceive it as. Like my life's miserable, and then she starts trying to think about what she can do to make it better. It's not her responsibility to make my life better, but it's natural for a woman to try to make everybody's lives better. So that's the challenge. And so sometimes what happens is I do this, and then it begins to kind of wear on her, and kind of like pull the energy down. And then I see it, and I'm like, you know what? I need to just shut up. I need to make sure at least there's enough of this other positive energy feeding in, or some clarity on what's happening, that I'm not actually complaining about life, that I'm just bitching about a situation. But for a man, I can just, you know, this, and then I'm done and I move on. But for her, viewing it from a different, completely perspective, it becomes like there's a problem here. Now I have to fix it. No, don't. Like, that's not a problem. I'm good. We're good. I don't need you to fix this. I've still got this. I can show you how everything's good. I'm just in a little funk or whatever. I'm dealing with this. And I just, it frustrates me, is all it really is. But I've already got it solved. Because most of the time, even when I'm, frustrated and angry at something, I already know the solution. I just don't like the timeline of the solution, right? Because I expected it to be done here. Something got jacked up. Now it's doubled my time. Now I'm pissed off. Nobody's changing that. Okay. Like that's not her job. She can't fix it. Like it's not, so that's kind of the reference to the masculine can be overbearing. I am pretty dang good though at making sure that I don't take out aggression on her, which I can't say I've always been the best at in the past, but with us, I'm very good at not directing my aggression towards other people typically, unless they just really, you know, like don't listen, or repeated offenders type of thing, and then I can get a little impatient, like it's kind of like the snowmobile buddy when you take them snowmobiling and they get stuck, and you're like, okay, well, this is what I want you to do, and then they do exactly the opposite and they get stuck again and again and again and again. Like I took this guy snowmobiling once, and we left the road, off the road, made it 100 feet, get stuck, right? So I'm like, okay, go turn around and come back. So this is how it worked. We're on the trail, like we leave the trail here, we could make it to here, he gets stuck here, then he gets stuck here, then he gets stuck here. We just worked our way back to the road as he try and turn around. And I'm like, okay, we're not, like, go back to I finally rode the snowmobile back on the road. So we're gonna go down the road further until we can get off where you can ride. It's like I'm done. And sometimes at that point I can get pretty, I can bark orders pretty aggressively at that point. But luckily I've learned enough that I don't do that to my wife. So
I feel like my snowmobiling experience with you was very nice actually. I felt like you were really patient with me.
yeah, you did great.
Yes, yes, but when you're in those moments or whatever where you're frustrated or bitching or whatever, it is hard sometimes because I do like internalize it and kind of take it on and want to help. And it's just it's a lot. It is a lot. Like it's just taking in a lot of that the energy, right? And and then I don't know what to do. And of course I appreciate when you tell me how you're feeling and what's going on and those kind of things. But yeah, I just do my best to protect my own energy and not and try to remind myself that like you've got this and I don't need to do anything. It's just you letting it out, I guess.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll actually ask me, like, is this really a problem, or are you just like bitching about it? I'll be like, no, I'm just yelling it for to get some steam off, you know.
Yeah. And just like when you're driving and you're letting steam off, you know, letting it, you know, how you're feeling out at the other drivers sometimes. I've
Mm,
learned not to internalize that and I
yeah,
just let it go because I'm like, he's just sometimes I think you actually enjoy it.
yeah, gives me
So,
a good reason to
yeah.
go fast.
Yeah, but I think like one of the things that really ruins relationships is when we start to like judge each other um and rather than like seek to understand and love each other. And so a lot of times we think um we're supposed to be like each other. We forget that we're two different species in a way, right?
Yeah, completely different.
Yeah. And so I like when you are, you know, reacting or doing your things or, you know, having that more masculine energy where you're, you know, you are really go, 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 get it done, do, you know, like it's just and to me it's like, you know, I just do my best to keep my lens focused on like loving you and not judging you and thinking you're, you know, you're supposed to be like me. Because if you were like me and I was like you, there would be no passion between us. Like the passion is created from our differences.
Yeah, we'd be more like buddies.
We'd be buddies.
That's
Exactly.
that's not nearly as cool. And to one of the things to remember is because I am so go go, right? Like high, sometimes high energy or all this whatever. If there's and I started talking about this like the yin and the yang on the membership, remember?
Mhm.
Drew the little picture and was like, like where's the masculine, where's the feminine? And it's like a balance of two. So if somebody is really high on this level, it means probably the better fit is someone that's really high on the opposite. And so if I'm like real aggressive in the masculine, then like you're really soft in the feminine. And so what you don't want to do is try to match my craziness because it'll just destroy it.
Yeah. That's what destroys, I think destroys is when we start trying to match, compete, judge each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
So,
or in any way. It's like no, just trust the process
mhm.
because I need the softer side for my fuel.
And one of the things that I love about you and just like men in general is like that warrior energy.
Mm.
And I think, you know, sometimes it comes out when you're frustrated or it comes out. And so when I look at you, when you're, you know, having, you know, these moments of, you know, it's like rather, like I said, rather than judging it, like I look at the energy and I'm like, that turns me on. Maybe not in the moment, it doesn't always seem that way. Like I'm not always like turned on, but when you are
Yes,
like,
I'm like motherfucker.
but a
Yeah,
little
probably not.
bit because it's the warrior in you that's coming out, and that's the part of you that one of the parts of you that I just love so much because that's the part that protects me.
Mhm.
And so if you can when pull it out, like that's attractive to me and that's sexy to me and that's like what makes me feel safe. If you didn't have that in you, no, I wouldn't want to be with you.
Well, I think that goes for most women. Now there are, I think, some women that are a little more naturally aggressive, so they might not have such a crazy mix, but it doesn't matter if a guy doesn't have some kind of fire, then there won't be as much passion.
Right.
The fire may not even need to ever come out, but when she sees it and she knows it's there, she likes it. Like that's something I've seen across the board. It doesn't matter what it is. And so if guys get really passive and they don't know how to kind of access some of that fire, even though it's in there, I honestly can't. I'm not sure I've ever met a guy that doesn't have it in there, but some guys got it in there and they express it like a little bitch.
Well, they've repressed it, pushed
Yeah.
it down. They've been shamed for it, or it's been coming out in an unhealthy way, or they've been judged, or the women in their lives, they've pushed it down, which is why in their relationships there's probably not a lot of passion, because that warrior energy is that masculine protector energy.
Yeah.
That's what creates polarity in a relationship. If you don't have it, like, yeah, like that's when you get friend zoned, I guess.
Yeah, you might maybe sometimes with benefits, but you're still friend zoned.
You're in your friend zone. It's the warrior, like the warrior energy, I think that really draws us in, actually, that warrior king energy that draws us in. If you don't have warrior king energy, if you're passive and I mean, yeah, you're friend zoned.
Yeah, and what's crazy with women though, and men, like if a woman shows up with the warrior energy, like a lot of men will think it's sexy.
Yes, which is actually why. So I feel like out of all the energies that I always talk about, like I know that the queen has been showing up much more now than she used to in the past, for sure, which is why I think I kind of attracted you, is because my queen is showing up. The queen has standards. Then, my lover energy is very present, and so is my magician energy, right? The one energy that I have inside of me that I don't pull out as much as I would like to, because I don't really know her as well, I guess, would be my warrior. And
Yeah, but you got to be careful with the warrior.
well, I'm working on accessing her better. Like I want to access her more. And I
Mm.
even mentioned this in the book study with the girls the other day, that when you were out of town last week, I watched Avatar, Way of the Water. Did I tell
Mm.
you this?
No.
I watched Way of the Water Avatar because the mom in the movie, she's got a lot of like warrior energy where she just owns her warrior, right? In a very in just such a great way. I just love it. And you may not get this, Mac, but she owns
I,
her warrior. And
I
I
get it, but
I
she doesn't try to control him either, really.
no, she doesn't control him. Like he leads,
Hmm.
right? But she owns herself, and she think respects the heck out of him. And what's his name in the movie again?
Jake.
Jake. She says, "My Jake, my Jake." I just love that so much because I'm like, my Mac, my Mac. But like, so really, embracing and stepping more into like that energy, I think will even make me personally just a more force, more of a force, because I have a lot of access to my queen energy. My warrior's about to come out, and I've got the lover and the magician down fully, I think. Like, I mean, I've got them down, like, so I'm really excited about that. And I don't know why I started talking about that, but she doesn't she doesn't battle
Hmm.
him, but
Yeah.
she's just she's got that fight in her. And
Well,
I
there's a the fight comes out together. Like that's when it becomes healthy, right? When the warriors come together.
Mhm.
But like there's a different part where most men out in the world, right? And they're not really healthy. They think they are or whatever. Their problem is that the woman warrior is really sexy, right? Like it's like this thing. But when they're too much warrior, they're a fucking disaster. Right? Like if they don't have the other pieces in play, they typically look like the type that they come in swinging. They got daddy issues. They're always worried about being cheated on. They're got trauma, and so they're always looking for the problem instead of looking at like what they have. And so it's like this beginning sexy, like a lot of athletes are this way, and they have this nature of like there's this warrior sexiness or whatever type energy, but there's no feminine in it. It's a masculine warrior, and that's not healthy. Even though from your perspective, when you access the warrior, it will be a type of like more masculine at times, like go to war because it's a warrior, but it will be from the position of the feminine,
yes.
not competition,
Yeah.
right?
So I feel like a lot of the differences it's um like there's you can project strength through love, or you can project strength through fear. And the a lot of people try to project a strength through fear energy, which means like fear of being abandoned, or fear of not being loved, or fear of not being good enough, or fear of that they show up projecting a sense of warrior energy of strength, but it comes from fear, which looks toxic,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Then there's strength through love, where when you come in with a different type of strength. And this is when I chat about um Mufasa and Scar.
Yeah, and I think that moving forward, one of the biggest wars from the warrior perspective these days between people is a lot of like if people are in business together as a relationship, if they're dealing with challenges and situations, there comes a point, and I think all men want this. I don't know how it is with women, but when and I've heard this where a guy that pulls off a success, but he went through hell to get there, and he's like, my wife stood by me the whole time, right? And I know some of these men, and they didn't. She didn't stand by him very well the whole time, right? Like it's not like she's like, you got this, keep going. Everything's a disaster. She wasn't cheerleading. Like at times they were flat out, fighting, blow up, whatever. But she never left, right? She never quit on him, and that's a warrior in a woman, right? The woman that doesn't quit is a type of a healthy warrior, preferably without as many fights, but often there will be struggles, because anytime you're going to go to war, like you get fatigued, you get wore out. It's like, what'd you say? What's it like? Let's not, and like the better you are at doing this, the less crazy it gets. But the best part is as a man, when you can go through war, go through hell, and she's there, right? You know that she's going to stick by you and push through, and like even if it's not the best thing, but you don't fear that she's going to run off or do whatever. And at the end of it, you're like, yeah, she's stuck by me. She's a warrior, type of thing. That's something that any person that's been married and gone from like the breakdown to success will tell you, like, yeah, like we did it. And that's one of the biggest warrior things I think been displayed as an example.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes us women, we get to pull our warriors out just to um I don't know, I don't think we consciously do this, but I think unconsciously the intention is to draw yours out more, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I say I've said this in the past, and I don't think you liked the word, but I said sometimes like us women, like we will challenge you guys a little bit. I mean, during the fight. And I think the only reason is because we're wanting to just the intention is to just keep pulling more of that beast out of you to get it done. Right? In a way. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
you're gonna instigate the fight to get shit done.
instigate the fight to get shit done in a
Mm.
little bit, or
No,
at least because I say for me, and like I said, I'm getting to know my warrior more, but I say like my queen, she sets the standards for my life,
mhm.
and my warrior, she executes on those standards. And so if things are not being met, then my warrior shows up and says, these are the things that need to change, or this is what needs to happen. Right? But it's coming from masculine warrior king queen energy, but it's coming from a very loving place, right?
Yeah.
But so there's a time to be fully in your feminine energy, but there's also a time where, we get to also be a little bit in our masculine energy because warrior energy is masculine and so is king and queen energy is also queen energy is masculine energy, but there's a healthy way to pull them out. And I think it's really about the balance.
Yeah, and there's e- even if somebody is really good at the warrior, really good, or a woman is really good at the warrior, really good at the queen, if she doesn't show that softer side to like a healthy masculine man, he's not interested.
Oh yeah.
Like other than for a good time, like
If I
that
was
might be.
in queen warrior energy all the time, you would not be attracted to me. I think we like it. You like it. It can be sexy, but it's really, it's my lover energy and my magician energy. I think that you love the most because I feel like those two energies are the ones that really like bring us to into the moment. You know,
Well, and it's
my
that
magician.
vulnerable, the truly it's the vulnerable side, right? Like the seeing the precious vulnerable woman that you are, right? And you basically taking that delicacy of what it is and just putting it in my hands, it is where it's like, don't fuck around, like this is your job now. That protector come like draws out, and almost I've heard this term of like things that will like imprint, right? Like when it's almost like when a soul imprints on another soul, that bond can't be broken. Even sometimes when all hell breaks loose and everything else, there's still somewhat of a bond there, but um, it can kind of fade and it get disconnected. Happens with like daughters, right? Like when a guy has a daughter and he's taking care of her, it's like you will protect your daughter to almost the end of the earth. And so because at some point she's probably vulnerable and she is this precious thing that like there's like a natural instinctual thing that is to protect and take care of whatever, provide, protect is mainly it, provide and protect. And so when you showed me that side, that was the game changer to to everything else. Like there's plenty of women out there trying to do the warrior, trying to do the queen, trying to do this and everything, but every one of them was too masculine, They were trying to prove who they were and what they had, and like they're fucking being a trophy. I can't tell you how many times when I was dating, like women were like offering themselves up like a fucking menu. Oh,
Mm,
I've got this, and I'm like I'm not like I don't need like pretty much everything you said. I don't need. In fact, it almost sounds like you don't even need me because you already got everything. You just
mm.
need a good vibrator. Have fun. You know, you know, it's like that. You just want a man, but you don't. You're not positioning your life to need a man. And
Mhm.
as a woman, if you want to be fully feminine, you have to need a man.
Men
If
go for
they,
their.
yeah, and so these women, they're like, I don't want to have to need a man. I just want a man. I'm like, well, then you're not going to get a good man.
Mhm.
Sorry, I hate to tell you, God made you a certain way, and when you go against God's design, you're not going to be fulfilled and happy to the highest level. That highest level fulfillment comes from through faith in God and God's plan. That's where the highest level fulfillment comes from. So being able to let go, trust, find the right guy, which is why I'm so big on like date, don't get in a relationship, don't hook up, don't, like date, learn your way through it. But as soon as you commit to the first thing that comes along, you have no idea what it is, and now you're stuck in a relationship and it's a shit show. Well, no shit. Like nobody, if you tied your shoes once and you tied a knot, and then you just said, well, I'm just going to marry this one, you'd have knots in your shoelaces for the rest of your life, and you'd never change. And that's how most people deal with their relationships. They think they learned something, they mess it up, so now they got a knot that they're trying to deal with, and and then they just commit to it and say, oh, we're just going to do this, but then they don't even continue their education in it. They don't try to solve the problem. They're just like, oh, we're good, and then it just goes downhill from there, and they bankrupt their relationship.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I just know the game changer was when you showed me truly what feminine, like the feminine side was. The side of me that always yearned to come out finally got a chance to come out, and it just changed the game.
Mm, so
Just
good.
yeah. Other than that, a brief moment of like taking care of my stepdaughter kind of brought something out that I was like, this is like I like this provider thing. You know, this is cool. I enjoy this, and never really had that opportunity where it was respected. And then with you, it just was totally different. Just like,
Yeah, one of the things is like a lot of guys think that they want that warrior woman, that projects that type of like confidence. But once you get into a relationship with that, you realize it's not like it doesn't draw that out of you. It's more of a battle of control.
yep.
And so when I decided like I want different, and I hired a coach and really got to work on myself and figuring out what I wanted, how I wanted to be, all of it. And it like it worked. Because not only did I attract you, but I also like love my life. And like I loved like I didn't necessarily need you to love my life. Like I was already loving it and living it. And then you came into it because I was doing the work, I guess.
But and you were being,
And I
you
was
know,
being,
you were doing the feminine thing. You were being the feminine thing, and same with me. I was doing what was required.
and you were doing it. And so then when we met, it was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you saw, I pulled something out of you, and I saw you, and I was like, this guy is capable of,
Yeah, I mean,
of
it
holding
took
my.
it took me a, I mean, honestly, it took me a moment to realize what the difference was because I dealt with so many of the like warrior type.
Mhm.
like the oh, I have to do this, go get the doctorate degree, or go be the top sports athlete, or be the top producer, or like all of those. I dealt with every one of them, and it was cool, and I supported them and everything else, and every time it fucked me, right?
Well,
Because
well,
I'm
the
like, the only reason they even lasted was because I just held a masculine frame for myself. Like, no, I make decisions, and when I say this is how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be. But I wasn't leading them.
and one of the problems is that they were, you know, being very successful in their careers or their athletics or whatever, and really strong in that warrior queen energy. But the problem was is they didn't know how to shift out of it, or to soften, to make space for a king.
Yeah, and well, and I can't say it's necessarily all their fault either, because I didn't really know this until I'd like kind of gone through it. And it's possible that had I just stood up and said this, yes, do this, like okay, and been more the leader instead of allowing them to lead themselves. So I have to take kind of my own fault in that.
Well, yeah,
Maybe
because
different, maybe not. They had trauma too, so it's like,
you didn't know, but some of us are so used to being in charge, especially as women, we can't let go. And so when we get into relationships with men, we still want to be in control and in charge, which is so it's fine in the beginning, sometime it's fine, but after so long, that's when we start when we are in charge, when our men do not quote unquote step up and take that leadership role, we do have no respect for them,
right,
which is why it ends up in breakups and divorce. Because if you're a woman, you may think you want to be in charge and in control, but you will have no respect for any man that you're with if you're in charge and controlling him. And so
yeah,
then you're going to get frustrated and you're going to try to be changing him to quote unquote step up. And he's not going to step up because he doesn't know what to do. Nobody knows what to do. And this is why most people get divorced. And, this is why there's not a lot of examples of really great, healthy relationships because nobody's learned.
well, and here, one of the crazy things is a guy can make the decisions and the wife can battle him on it, right? She can come at him and be like, well, I think we should do this, I don't know about, and all these questions of uncertainty. And if the guy says fine, you do it, you're fucked. Like that. As soon as you give in to her complaining, her negative stuff that she's, because for her it's just a fight. Like she's trying to figure it out, she's trying to solve it, and she needs some certainty. And then the guy's like, it ain't worth dealing with, you just deal with it if you want to. That is like, that's the worst thing you can do. So when these guys are like, yeah, here's my paycheck, they'll like start dating and they get pretty comfortable and they're like, yeah, here's the paycheck here, just give me this much a week and I'll be fine. It's like the worst, one of the worst things you can do, because then she has to start making decisions and then she has all this stress. And when she's in stress, she's going to go masculine. That's how women handle their stress, is to go masculine. Very rarely will they step out of it to be like, what do I need to do? Calm down, slow down, find some peace, and then move.
And it's really hard because we've, been conditioned and trained for men especially to be like, I'm just gonna stay out of her way because that's what makes her happy.
Yeah, happy wife, happy life.
Happy
No.
what But the truth is that's
Hmm.
not what makes her happy. In the moment, it might make her appear to be happy, but after so long, then it's like she feels alone. She's not happy.
Yeah.
Staying out of your woman's way.
Certain. If a man is certain, that makes his wife happy, then you have a happy life. You don't take the man out. Like it's like the man has to be the decision, the leader, the all that stuff, so that, like how we started this. Hey, what do you want to do? I don't know. Let's go. I want to go do this. Well, I don't know. No, we're going to just go do this unless you're going to tell me something either better or no. Well, I guess I need to get my, okay, get your stuff. Let's go. It's like, it can be that simple. And sometimes it's not that, and it's not always beautiful. Oh yeah, I want to go do that. Yay. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But when you show up leadership and you just do that, and then when she comes at you of like, well, I don't know, I think we need to do this. I think, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Now, keep in mind, I'm not talking about the men that will go to the bar every night and get wasted and then go buy a brand new pickup that they can't afford, and then over leverage everything and get a bunch of credit card debt. And he's like, I'm making the decisions here. No, you're a fucking asshole and you're stupid. Like that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody that is financially responsible, emotionally responsible, doesn't probably doesn't get wasted. Okay, like some people might drink a little bit, but if you get wasted and you begin to do things that you would not normally do, that's a problem in any kind of way, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or anything else. Like that is a problem. You're making her uncertain. If you're stuck in porn, you're going to make her uncertain. Okay, so when I talk about this, I'm referring to healthy men, but even the healthiest men, their wives will still challenge them at times. That I don't know, I don't like this, I don't, and he has to be like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now here's what I did. I thought about it. I prayed about it. I made a decision about it. So unless you bring me some information that changes some factor that I need to take, look at, and take back to God, nothing is going to change. You can doubt it, you can do whatever. Nothing is going to change. When she hits that wall, it doesn't matter if she continues complaining about it or anything else. That's what's going to make her happy because you've removed the decision making ability from her. So now she doesn't have to put the weight of that on her shoulders because she's just going to stand behind you in it. Even though it seems like she's not going to, she will. And unless she's unhealthy, and then she'll leave and probably save you a bigger problem later. So if you have a fear of loss of love, you'll get stuck in the trap. You'll try to chase her as you should be letting her go. And because the opportunity to let her go is what'll bring her back and get her to fix her stuff, typically. Or she will leave and you will save yourself a lot of problems down the road. But if one person is like gonna leave or anything, and you're like, here's the truth, here's the standard, that they'll be like, they're probably right. Maybe I need to look at this, and then they begin to do some internal work and fix. And so it really comes down to your ability to, one, ask for the truth, give it to God, and have faith that God will help you or solve this or whatever, because he's the only one that won't betray you. And then take a step and do that. But the main point here is, as a man, when she comes at you, don't get worried about it. Just understand that sometimes women, if the stories build up, or they, kind of like what I was talking about, how I'm like bitching and this and that and everything, and she's like, oh no, I need to do more, I need to fix this. It's not like this can happen in a day, right? Like everything could be great one day, the next day all this happens, and then she's like, I need to fix this, whatever, well maybe I should do this, and then the mind takes off. It could be because she didn't get enough sleep and you're bitching, and so the mind just will create a story, run over here, and then she thinks she needs to do something, so then she feels the weight on her. You have no idea what's going on. And as a man, if you are not healthy in your emotions, then you won't be able to read her emotions and realize what's happening and correct the problem that you created. But when you're doing the right things, you can create it. Now, you might be dealing with a financial situation that's burning up all your energy, so you need to put more effort into that. But you still got to pay attention to, like, her. She still has needs. Like your needs in a marriage is, you come first, then your wife. That's those two has to be two tied together, because you kind of become one. And if you begin to break those down, you end up with a lot more problems, and then you can't take care of yourself. If all of your energy goes into, how am I going to deal with my wife, because you didn't address an issue properly, or you created an issue that you shouldn't have, fastest thing you do is just get really honest. This usually happens with, like, in conjunction with a brotherhood. If you have a brotherhood to go, what do I do? What's this? What's the truth? They can pull the truth out, make some suggestions. Once you see the truth, typically a man that actually stands in the truth, he quickly understands, this is what I have to go do. He doesn't really take advice, but he takes counsel. And then once he realizes the truth that he stands in, he's like, okay, this is what I have to go do. I have to go stand here, even if it's ugly. And when he stands there, gives her certainty. When she has a certainty, she pulls back. He no longer has a fire to work on, and he can go work on all the other stuff with his whether it's his finances, his body, or whatever problem he has. And so this is like there's so much benefit as a man to be able to expose that, find the truth, do the truth, that when the energy comes back to you, it's a fuel that is irreplaceable. It's not replaceable, because the fuel that comes from your wife, your woman, is unmatched to anything else you can find. It doesn't match to anything. Also, at the same time, the if you did something stupid and you get in a battle, that can tear you down faster than anything else. It just fuck you up. Now, if you did something stupid and you own it, just flat out own it. You don't need to argue it or blame, or, well, if you wouldn't have done this, or, which is what I see a lot of people do. Yeah, well, they get defensive, they take it personal, and even if it is personal, it's easier to just own it, take the beating for a second, and be like, yep, but this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm at. I know the truth now. This is what I'm going to do, or at least work on. Or it's just like some men, they have no credibility to say even what they're going to do, because they don't keep their fucking word. They zero. And so in that case, you just keep your mouth shut and you go prove it. Because every time you run your mouth, she doesn't believe you anyway. You just sound stupider. So shut up, go do it, prove it. Like, stand up and be a man. But if you don't have other men holding you to a standard, you'll just break your word again, and you'll eliminate the relationship, because you're being a fucking loser and you're not being a man. So you got to stand up, do something different, and just go prove it. And I've had to do that at times where it's like, I'm done. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go do it, because I don't even believe myself right now. So I get internally pissed off in kind of like a healthy, kind of that king warrior type of way. And then I just go do something different. And then the results follow. And nothing speaks integrity better than results. Nothing. Especially keeping your word, getting the results. And it's more of an internal. When I keep the word that I gave myself, produces the results. That's integrity. And once that happens, it doesn't matter what she says or anybody else says. This is who I am. You can't touch me. One, because I have no lies. I expose everything. I did the shit I said I would do. If you don't like me, go fuck yourself. I don't like, then you don't like me. It's okay. Go somewhere else. Go like somebody else. Because people that do like me a lot because of those standards. So that's a piece of, well, it's just this. If you're a man and you're not showing up like this, then you should flat out be in a conversation with me. Period. Because where else are you going to get it? Where else are you going to find a brotherhood that will love you at this level, to not hold you like not look at you like you're a loser, but look at you as like fully capable of saying, no, like, you got a dick too, motherfucker. Like, let me show you how to be a man. Like, I don't care how much you've done wrong. I just care about starting here, getting the wrong things out, putting the right things in, stand up and be my brother. That's what I care about. If you show up like me, you're a brother to me. I will stand behind you the same way you stand behind me. That makes men untouchable, because when a brotherhood is formed, nothing can take you out. Like, when your wife is losing it, and you're like questioning everything about like what you got. No, I don't know. Like, I'm trying, I'm doing, and you have somebody to talk to. Just that conversation will hold your certainty firm and give you what you need to stay firm. It will reinforce, it will give you the validation you need, which men still do need this, not as much as women do, but they still need something, because they need guidance. Ultimately, it comes from God. If it's not God formed and then brotherhood held, it won't work. That's a standard of what's required. So when you have those things, the devil can't come at you nearly as easily. Where the devil wants you, and you don't have to say devil, you can just say your negative thoughts, your subconscious, the world, whatever, I don't care. But the shit that gets in your head, where you begin to think you're not good enough, or you begin to think that she's the problem, or you begin to think that something else is the problem, or you become a victim. That's what I would call the devil getting in your head and taking you out of the game. But when there's two, he's got a lot harder fight. Where there's three or four, he almost can't touch you. Like he'll still get you here and there. He'll get you to look at something you shouldn't look at, or say something you shouldn't say, or do some stupid shit once in a while. But the reality is, when the standard is held, he's he can't get to you. He'll go work on somebody easier. And so be a fucking man and don't think you can do this alone. The men thinks, oh well, thanks for the advice. Let me go work on it. No, you dumb motherfucker. Did you not listen to what I just said? Like, I don't do this alone. Like not even close. I've got six guys that or five other guys or six of us that are very tight on top of a bunch of other guys. Like I've got five coaches that work together. And then I've got about 70 more dudes that if I need to, we all hold a standard. On top of that, I've got a whole religious organization that holds a pretty high standard that there's certain ones of them that I know I can go to if I need to. So you're talking over 100 guys that hold a certain standard that I have access to. If you think I get in my head and go, I'll just fix this by myself, that's what I did 5 years ago. And that's where I fucked everything up over and over and over again until I gave up and I said, God, it's your turn. And I started doing it different. And lo and behold, I manifest an angel. So, yeah, there's that spiel.
Thank you. That was great.
Is there anything you want to tack on before we jump off here?
Well, I don't know, but I know we started off the beginning of this not knowing what we were going to talk about, and we ended up talking about a bunch of stuff that we could go like even way deeper into. No, I think that's great. I think we should end this, but what should I title this? I don't know.
Maybe you might just have to run it through the thing and see what it spits out and come up.
Oh, that's a good idea. All right, awesome. Well, I think that's it. Anything else from you, Mac, or are we done here?
No, I think we're going to stop there just because it was there's a lot.
You know when this is gonna air? It's gonna air on our 1 year engagement anniversary.
That's cool.
I know. That's so cool.
Okay, well,
All
that's
right.
it. Thanks
Thank
for
you
watching,
very
everybody.
much.
Comment, share, tell people about it, take something from it, use it, apply it.
Yeah, if you know anybody that may receive value from what we're saying or anything like that, please, yes, share, tag them, anything. Let me know what you think too. Like send me, I like, what are they called? Messages. Sometimes I get messages from you guys and you tell me your
Yeah.
takeaways and your things, and I just love it. So don't ever hesitate.
Yeah, and if like if you're a guy or a woman, we've got the membership that people can come into, but we also do like a women's only and a men's only. And right now at like what is it, 97 a month or something?
Yes.
Even just those one calls, that those singular calls are worth more than that amount of money.
And actually, since we're plugging some things in here, I will say this coming Thursday, we start our new book in the book study, and we're reading the Queen's Code. And it's going to be amazing, and I'm so excited. So if the any of this sparked an interest when we were talking about like the queen energy and all that kind of stuff, like we're reading the Queen's Code starting on Thursday. Inside the membership, those book studies are every Thursday at noon Mountain Standard Time. So we would love to have you
Yep.
join us. Just, so it's going to be great.
Yeah, and like I said, for the men, that brotherhood can start right there in that once a month call to get in, hear some things, whatever, whatever it is. And this membership is not going to stay at $97. It's just not. Like there's things in the works where the focus is changing. We're going to do things differently because I want to build exactly what I just talked about. So we're going to move that way. So if you get in or just start a conversation that says, "Hey, I'm done doing it alone. What do I do?" start figuring it out. All
Yes.
right.
All right. Bye.